Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarina Fazan, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of On the Record. Today on the record, I am going to get a little bit personal as we break down medical and health insurance. It's so scary to talk about. There are so many questions, and I think a lot of miscommunication about it. So here to break it down for us, father and son team, Scott May and Scott Thomas May. Thank you so much for being here, guys.
Thank you.
And Scott, you've been in a broker for 37 years.
Correct.
37 years. Okay, so I think that you've got a lot of experience on the topic. And of course, Scott Thomas, you've watched your dad for all these years, and now the two of you work together both as insurance brokers.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, and again, on the record, Scott is actually my insurance broker, and for years I was sharing that I worked at a traditional newsroom. I had health insurance, everything was, and then I go on to become an entrepreneur, and I had to get my own insurance, which was so scary. And we're going to talk more about that in a moment. But talk to us about that first, about when you have to get your own insurance.
Yeah, what happens, it's very misleading. A lot of people, maybe they've been with a company for 20, 30 years, and they think when they leave that they're just going to go out there and get the same insurance. But it's completely different when you leave that realm. So individual is completely different than group health coverage, and maybe even more for the negative, but that's just the nature of the beast.
So I want you to hold on to that thought, because now that you've been in this industry, right, Scott Thomas? Should I just say Scott and Scott, or what do you think?
Scott
and Scott. So the one thing that I hear all the time is that, gosh, it's so much more expensive. Mm-hmm. What would you, and then you both weigh in on that, but we'll start with you, Scott. What would you say?
It's more expensive compared to being
like
with
a group, like a
group.
Company.
Oh yeah, for sure. Usually I even have friends that work for big companies, and they get the group insurance, and I'll look over the policy, and it's definitely a lot better. I think the companies, they help pay for it too, so you don't have to spend as much money compared to going on your own. It is more expensive, but it depends on your age and a lot of different things. So, but yeah, for sure, it's definitely better. I tell people, if they work for a big company and they offer health insurance, stay right where you're at. It's perfect.
Hold on to it.
Yeah.
Well, so because you hear so oftentimes, people do not want to go out on their own because of health insurance,
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So Scott, you talk about that.
Yeah, what happens is a lot of people are scared. Maybe they're even in their 60s, and they have a pre-existing condition, and they're afraid to get rid of that. They need that. If they go out on their own, the problem you run into with a lot of the individual policies is that they won't cover pre-existing, or if they do, the rates are a lot higher. So maybe they're getting their health insurance paid for that big company. Now they go out and get it on their own. Maybe it's even a family policy. Now you might be looking at $2,500, $3,000 a month compared to maybe free or close to being free.
And okay, absorb that number, $2,500 to $3,000 a month. I mean, for some people, they can't even imagine it's more than their mortgage, right?
Correct.
So what do you do?
A lot of people are forced to stay. Some people are forced to stay till they're 65, that they'll hit Medicare. So they stay with their company. They don't even care about the money. They're holding on to the benefits. Maybe they're dealing with cancer or whatever. So we do have policies that cover pre-existing, but they might be expensive. Or a lot of the policies don't cover pre-existing. So they have to stay right where they're at.
So what policy, though, are there policies out there that you would recommend for?
Yeah, through healthcare.gov, they have the Obamacare Affordable Act. Yeah. They're really the only ones on an individual basis that are covering pre-existing. The problem with them is it's based on your income. So if you're low income, yes, you can get the rate down. If you're middle class to high class, now you're looking again. I'll give you an example. When I was 64, I was paying $1,500 a month just for me with a $7,800 deductible. I had a knee problem, but I wanted that covered, so that was the only way. Like you said, $1,500 for one person, that's a mortgage payment.
Mortgage, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so, but with Obamacare, Scott, how do you navigate it? I mean, honestly, like, how do you navigate it?
I mean, it just depends on the person, honestly. I think, like he said.
Pre-existing.
Yeah, pre-existing's the big thing, and then income. We write a lot of short-term policies, so they don't cover pre-existing. But a lot of people that maybe they own their own business or they're self-employed, they make a good amount of money and they don't want to pay for, the ACA, the Obamacare, because they make a good amount of money and it's based off of your income, so it gets really expensive. So we have short-term policies that we write, mostly for people like that. And it doesn't cover pre-existing, so if you're healthy, maybe you're in your 30s, you're self-employed, or you own your own business, it's perfect for them. It keeps the cost down.
Can you guys break down Obamacare though for us? Like, is there a certain period? Is there a certain window where you have to apply every year? Can you guys just because I think there's a lot of questions about it, and sometimes people get so intimidated about insurance, or they're like, oh gosh, I don't want to look at the computer and I don't want to figure that out. So if you could break it down.
Yeah, the thing with the Obamacare, and I do like it, I think it has its purpose. The main thing is that they cover pre-existing, and if you have low income, it's great. But the one thing that people don't realize, that it's involving IRS. So I think the minimum is $13,000 to get subsidy, the lowest. And you tell them you're making $13,000, but what if you make $100,000? Yeah. So whatever that premium was, it might be $90 a month. You're getting it cheap. But if you make too much money when you're filling out your tax return and you made too much money, guess what? You got to back pay that money.
Wow.
So if your original premium was $500 and we got it to you for $90, guess what? You're going to have to back pay that $410 a month for 12 months. That's the part I don't like.
And it's because it's tracked through your...
Yeah, and everything's projection. So whatever when you're calling in, if you say, I make $20,000, just to get you in and get that pre-existing covered, but then at the end of the year you made $100, they think they're going to get away with it. They're not going to get away with it. They're going to come after you. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's just the way it is.
No, but it's not even. Thank you for sharing that, because that's really important information. So you go in as an entrepreneur and you predict, say, okay, I'm only going to make $30,000 this year, $50,000, or whatever it is, and then you get your monthly payment for that amount. But you're saying if you end up making more, and the IRS clearly tracks it, you're going to be hit with that bill.
Yeah, they think they're going to get away with it. You're not going to get away with it. They're going to find out when you fill out your tax return. I could give you 100 stories. Again, I'm not against it. It does have its purpose. If you call me and you say, I'm a diabetic on insulin, I need a knee replacement, I got high blood pressure, we're going to lead them right to them immediately. Yeah. Because that's really the only ones that are covering pre-existing.
There's the open enrollment too. So.
Open enrollments is only, you have a 45-day open window. If it's like June 1 and you don't have health insurance and you blow your knee out, guess what? You're stuck.
Wow.
That's
what were you going to say? What were
yeah, just the open enrollment. If you miss that period and you don't go through the Obamacare in that open enrollment, there's nothing that you can do.
You could be stuck.
Yeah, you can't. You might not be able to get anything.
We run into it every day.
If you have pre-existing health problems and you miss that window,
you're stuck. You're in
stuck.
trouble.
So when you were also talking, okay, so the open enrollment began, when is the open enrollment?
It's like November 8th through...
For 45 days.
Yeah, it's like 45 days, basically.
And if you miss that time, then you need to find some other type of health insurance because you're not going to get Obamacare.
I mean, if you go to the emergency room or something and you really don't have any money, you can file under Medicaid. So there's ways, but don't count on that. I mean, if you're counting, well, I'm just going to go to Tampa General and everything's going to be okay. That's not necessarily true. I mean, if you end up with cancer and you don't have any insurance, they're not going to treat you. Yeah. They're not going to treat you unless you're willing to pay cash, a cash price for the most part, but you're asking for problems.
Wow. And to know that that's so sad that they're not going to treat you. And I'm not saying all hospitals and all doctors and all. I come from a family of doctors. Everybody's a doctor in my family except for me. Oh, really? So I know that there's that passion too of taking care of the patient. I mean, my brothers really struggle with it because they, the insurance in this, country, I'm saying it on the record, I think there needs to be some changes, when you look at, back to when you were talking about the certain amount of income, do you, and you as an entrepreneur again, you say I'm going to make, 30,000. If you have investments, that also counts though, right? As your income?
If it depends, yeah, if it is. If they're getting like a 1099, of course it will. They don't care how much money's in the bank or anything like that, but it is based on income for the most part. I mean, we get it. I mean, it's almost every day we get something, where it's either going to backfire or they don't qualify. I know they're trying to, matter of fact, last year, I think due to COVID, they kept the open enrollment to August. So a lot of business was written. So, I mean, that was probably good, but you can't keep it open all year because then everyone would just wait till something's wrong to get health insurance. So you have to have, I mean, they would go broke. Everyone would just wait till something happens to sign up to get that pre-existing. You can't do it that way.
So there could be, though, some help out there through Medicaid or Medicare, did you say?
Medicaid.
Medicaid.
Again, it's based on income.
Because Medicare is for
65 and over.
Like people like myself. I mean, I hate to say this, another one could be like maternity. A lot of them, if you're a single mom, and I hate to say it that way, but a lot of times it will be covered under Medicaid for something like that. So that's a big one, that Medicaid will come in. But if you've got a lot of money, you're not going to qualify for that. So either you're going to have to pay a cash price, or depending on what that illness is or injury, you may have to wait.
How do you seek out that help, though, that financial help? Is it paperwork that you have to fill out? Because again, it goes, I mean, I think that's what's so daunting to people. Or
You mean-
do you need people like you?
You mean that qualify?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happens, again, when you're calling in, even like through healthcare.gov, they don't care what you tell them. You can tell them whatever you want. So, but at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, depending on the company, you're going to get a 1095B, and that's how they're going to know. So there's really no way to get around it. If you're getting a W-2 and you're not getting group health coverage, you're probably safe. An example, I had a realtor that I think she made like $40,000. But then she ended up making over $100,000. Well, guess what? She owed $9,600 back on taxes because her premium, she made a lot more money than she thought she was going to make. I mean, you're rolling the dice. That's just, you don't know. Try to get as close as you can when you're projecting your income.
So one's based off of your income, the other one's based off of your health. So that's how you should basically determine on which.
Yeah, if it's pre-existing, you really need to go that direction, for the most part, and help out the person. One other thing that I think that's becoming a problem, and even with the Affordable Act policies, I don't know if it's because they're not getting paid as well, but a lot of the doctors are not getting or dropping off of those programs. They're not. We have some of the HMOs. The doctor's list is really horrendous, to be honest with you. So there's a chance your doctor may not even be on those plans, or that's been dropped. I know because Beth Ann, my daughter, was on the Blue Cross. They've lost 4 primary care doctors that have pulled off, 2 dermatologists, and 2 gynecologists have come off. So that's another problem. Just because, not to be mean, just because you've heard Blue Cross, that may not be the Blue Cross that you and I are used to for group or through Medicare. I mean,
Well,
it's a very negative business, to be honest with you.
it is very hard, and that's why I wanted to do the show. So we're going to go to a break, and we have so much more to talk about, and then I'll even share my own personal experience and why, I wanted to go on the record. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
About your skin. What bothers you? What are you trying to improve on?
Sammy's getting some self-love thanks to the Dream Team. Those teen years are the perfect time to start.
It's good for giving them that boost of my skin looks great. It helps with the confidence, also helps kind of clean out their skin, their pores, give them that kind of jump start so hopefully they start taking care of their skin before they get into the acne-prone age.
South Tampa Dermatology offers a number of options to keep your teen skin healthy and glowing.
So this is a light stimulating peel that is good for no downtime.
And getting facials with my 14-year-old is not just good for our skin, but a great way to spend time together.
Precision Garage Store, this is Sophia. How may I help you?
It's the people who work here that make the difference.
That's what we're all here for, teamwork, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we're here for you today.
with one purpose:
If you need us, Precision is here for you.
to give their best to our customers.
We put out love and we get like 10 times back.
You get it coming back to you.
Yeah.
We work for you. So thank you, Tampa Bay, for year after year making Precision Garage Door a top workplace.
LabelSwap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to On the Record. We're talking about a very serious topic here, medical and health insurance. I mean, believe me, it's something sometimes we don't want to talk about. It's so scary. But I have a father-son team here, Scott May and Scott Thomas May. We really appreciate you being here, your insurance brokers. During the commercial break, Scott, you said that there is something that you definitely want to address.
Yeah, the one thing with the health insurance that it seems like that it's very negative is we're always constantly dealing with claims. Either they didn't get paid or this isn't covered. The average person, when they're buying these policies, they don't know what's covered and not covered. Or they'll come back, hey, I thought this was covered. No, it's not covered. And these are the problems. I mean, I'm dealing with it every day. It's easy, but the average person doesn't.
No, it's very, very scary. And, honestly, just to put on the record, right? Scott is actually my insurance broker, and I am an entrepreneur now, and I had to get an independent policy. But I was on, my cousin gave me some very troubling news. For me, it was troubling, and I slipped and fell, and I hit my head. I have a concussion, I still have a concussion. I had 5 stitches in my head. I had to stay over at the hospital. The worst part was my 14-year-old daughter witnessed everything, had to call the ambulance. And honestly, she needs trauma counseling over it because she was so horrified. So to get through that, firstly, but I'm petrified about the insurance bill, about the bills. Yep. Mm-hmm. So talk to me a little bit about that. And I have to say, you guys are great, and thank goodness for you both, because it is really scary, and then you're dealing with your health, and you hear these numbers like your bill could be $15,000. Mm-hmm.
It's true.
So share what you told me, Scott.
Yeah, one of the problems we run into, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, you go to the emergency room, it's going to be $15,000 almost every time, but you're thinking it's going to be $800 or $1,000, mm-hmm. but it isn't. Some clients, they'll call me and they say, hey, what should I do? And if maybe it's a sprain or ear infection, try to go to a walk-in clinic. Now we're looking at $400 or $500. But if it's something, you don't want to put your health at risk, you need to go to the emergency room. The problem is you might have a $5,000 deductible, 80/20. You don't have a copay for the emergency room. So guess what? You're going to get this bill, even if we pay part of it, you're going to get stuck with $7,000 or $8,000. That's devastating. Now you're afraid to ever go to the emergency mm-hmm. room, but it's just the way it is. It's just a very difficult situation.
So let me ask you guys this: in situations like that, mm-hmm. is it worth calling the provider, or go to the hospital and say, hey, listen, I know it's still $7,000 or $8,000, but all I have, can I just pay $2,000 and settle the bill?
It usually doesn't work that way, because what will happen is once you show them, I'll have a lot of clients, they'll try to get a cash price, but usually once you show them an insurance, then they won't give you the cash price. So that's the other problem. Sometimes it is better to say, I don't have insurance, and they'll say, okay, it's $1,000 if you pay cash. One quick example, I had a gentleman wanted to get an MRI done, and they told him it was $300 for cash. The insurance company I had him with paid $500. Oh no, he said that I have insurance. It's okay, they filed it. The insurance company paid $500, $200 more than what there were. But once it got to the insurance company, they billed the insurance company $1,200 instead of $300. That's not fair. So the only way I could stop that from happening is I'd have to almost be there and say, okay, I'll take the cash price.
And I have to share, this did happen to me. I needed a mammogram, but and I have to, what kind of insurance do I have? I'm
You
sorry.
you have a limited medical policy.
Okay, I have a limited medical policy, and I had to have a mammogram, so I went, to get a mammogram, and the bill was astronomical. But I showed them my insurance card, and I was very fortunate in the situation because thanks to you guys, I have many friends that are, OBGYNs, but we talked to the insurance company, and the insurance company as well. You showed the card when you should have asked for the cash price first.
That's not fair though, but that is true.
So give us advice on that, Scott, and I'll let. So, if you have again a limited medical policy, the question that you should ask is, what's better, a cash price? Do you actually ask the doctor that?
I mean, what do you think? It just depends on the situation, I think, don't you?
Yeah. A lot of times, there's no wrong or right answer.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is better to, let's say you're getting blood work done. Sometimes it's better, let's just say you have a $5,000 deductible, and now that blood work is $1,000, but you're going to get stuck with it. So if you just say, hey, I want the cash price, now it's $300.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Depends on
The
the
average
situation.
person's not thinking that way.
Yeah.
Not at all.
That's the problem.
And I'm a journalist, honestly, right? So I was not, and when I say I'm a journalist, I'm just saying that as a journalist, typically you research everything and you understand things. That mammogram situation, honestly, was so shocking to me. I'm still so startled by it.
What we tell people, call us before you do something.
That's true.
We can tell you what's probably the best, thing to do in this situation.
So, okay, I love that because you brought up something very important. So as an entrepreneur, so should people then seek out, how do you find the right insurance broker?
That's a good question.
I think what helps me, for the last 35 years is referrals. If they know you and they trust you, they're going to keep referring business. You don't even have to advertise. Word of mouth is the best way. We're old school. I hate to say it this way, but we tell people we're available 24/7. So,
I can personally attest to that.
We'll get calls Saturday night. I've had people call me at 11 o'clock at night trying to get insurance within an hour, or they're just about to run out. I don't think many agents do this. We help with claims, and a lot of people get scared. They get this bill, I got to pay it right away. It's going to hurt my credit. We'll get involved. We'll try the best we can. Maybe we will negotiate a cash price, or maybe there's a mistake. There's thousands of mistakes on claims. Every claim it seems like there's some sort of mistake. So we might only save them $400 or $500. I've even had claims waived, believe it or not, as high as $400,000 completely waived.
Wow.
And it might be filling out hardship papers. Maybe they didn't have insurance. They really did not have the money to pay. But they get scared and they won't answer their phone. They'll tear up the bill and throw it away. But I always, I go after it and we help and let them know, hey, we can help you, or we'll try. It doesn't always work. My son's the way too. He's the same way too.
So how do people, you were honestly referred to me, right, through a dear friend of mine, Stephanos August. We'll give him a shout out. He said, because when I first entered my entrepreneurship, he said, all right, you need to reach out to Scott. How do people find you? How do people find you guys though?
Referrals.
But no, specifically, like if a viewer is watching, they're like, oh, we want this father and son to be our insurance brokers. How would they? Because I'd like to give you. You've been so helpful to me. How would they find you?
I have a business Facebook page, May Insurance, and then I have a website, May Insurance as well. It's may-insurance.com, and then email, phone call. That's it. Really.
We do have an office in Temple Terrace. Patriot Insurance.
Patriot Insurance. Because we like to get that out there as well. Yeah. Another thing that we should talk about. So with the health insurance and, going specifically to my situation, again, my daughter, saw everything and she's really traumatized by it. But then mental health is not covered.
Correct.
So typically mental health is not covered in these type of policies. We're doing, everything that we can for her, and I'm fortunate to, to help her in that way. But what do people do about that? Is there anything out there?
There is. Again, you're coming off of a group. You've been there for 30 years. You're used to mental health, which is covered. Then you go to the individual policies. They're more designed for accident and illness. Now, again, the one credit to the Obamacare, if you go into like Blue Cross or some of the companies, they will cover that. They're going to be a little bit more into preventative. They will cover mental health. Again, the problem with that is if you're your normal middle class and you go to a policy like that and the premium's $1,000 a month, but maybe you can go out and get an individual for $200 a month it's not covered. So do you want to save $800 a month and not have mental health covered? Or maybe it's a small pre-existing that, that's not a big deal. If you're healthy, it makes all the difference in the world to me. But it is a concern. I mean, it happens.
And especially nowadays, I mean, honestly, with the whole globe, internationally, going through the most unprecedented time, right now, the mental health is just as important as your physical health. And some people would argue the physical, the mental health leads to the physical illness.
I agree.
Same thing there. If you have to go to a psychiatrist or a mental health or a psychologist, just ask for a cash price. I mean, it might run you $100, $200, but that's really about the only thing you can do for the most part.
Well, to both of you, such valuable advice. I think we should have a roundtable discussion. I did 2 1-hour specials on human trafficking. We're going to be doing some hours, specials on so many other issues, and I think we should talk about this and maybe get some doctors involved and get some, heads of insurance companies. So half an hour is not enough.
And one thing, too, I do want to mention to people, especially because of my age, I'm over 65. I do handle a lot of Medicare. A lot of my friends through softball that I went to school with that need help. And a lot of people, same thing. They're coming off of a group. They have no idea what to do, how to sign up for A and B Medicare, or what company to go with. There's agents coming to their doors. They're getting stacks of mail every day. They know more about you than you know about yourself. So that's something that I handle quite a bit as well.
Well, I thank you both. Oh, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, and that's a lot simpler than the under 65. The Medicare is a lot easier to understand. So once we break it down for them, it's a lot more cut and dry. So
that's right.
Well, we really appreciate you both coming on, and of course, we'll have you back on the show. On a much lighter note, these two were also on my Dating in America series, so you'll have to check that out. Single Struggles, with a wonderful woman named Elizabeth Flock, who you guys just met. We need to plug it. Nice. You guys were great.
Thank you very
much. Appreciate it.
Speaking of that, if you guys have a story idea, please email it to us. Email it to us. We love to get your ideas actually on the air. And then you can share it. You can share it on multiple media platforms. And I'm also on Roku right now. So, we love talking and helping people. And again, we so appreciate it. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe.